This is a map of 𝐀𝐧𝐝, the magical world where the Dragon Prince universe takes place. It's a beautiful map, really. The art is wonderful, and all these places and names are undoubtedly filled with mystery and adventure, just waiting to be discovered. But I don't really care that much about this map, and if you stick around with me to the end, you'll find out why. The Dragon Prince is my favorite animated show of all time, and it means a great deal to me. However, I think there's some misconceptions with a lot of people about what exactly it is about the Dragon Prince that I enjoy. And it's become more noticeable to me that I have been having a hard time connecting with a lot of the people in the fandom. So I figured in this video I could just kind of talk about my perspective on the situation and on what's going on, why my views on the show differ from the others in such drastic ways. I think that the biggest issue that I'm coming across can be boiled down to this. I like the Dragon Prince for the story, not the lore. So let's unpack that. Let's start by defining our terms. By lore, I mean background information about the world, ancient history, events off screen, and characters that we have never seen on the show and most likely never will impact the story in any significant or meaningful way. By story, I mean the actual contents of the show itself, the novel, and will include the graphic novels. When I say story, I'm talking about Rayla and Callum going from enemies to lovers. I'm talking about Ezrin going from being scared of lightning to being so brave that he stands up against all the armies of the human kingdoms to do what is right. I'm talking about Soren learning from the follies of his father and going against his own blood because it is the right thing to do. I'm talking about the Dragon Prince. At the heart of the matter, I believe that this is the disconnect between me and many people in the fandom currently. Now, I'm not saying that lore is bad, far from it. I enjoy some lore here and there, and there's some lore that I really love about the Dragon Prince. But what I love about the Dragon Prince, the thing that inspires me to make these videos, to run this channel, is the show, the characters, the stories within it, their dynamics, their character arcs, the action, the excitement, the mystery. Those are the things that I love about the Dragon Prince. So I'm not at all interested in dragon reproduction or the types of flora like dew flowers, flowers that can be turned into jelly. Okay, that level of detail just isn't very interesting to me. It's just a level of detail that adds a bit of realism to the world, and so that is an example of lore. An extra bit of information outside of the story itself. Or in other words, we're talking about the map of 𝐀𝐧𝐝 and not the journey of our characters within it. So why do we love stories? Well, I'm sure that answer would vary from person to person. I think on a broad level, it's just that we all long to feel that kind of connection to other places and people. Stories help us learn and grow and change. They reaffirm and comfort us. They bring us great sadness, and they teach us deeper truths about the world around us, and truths about ourselves we might not even know. They can illustrate aspects of the human condition that we might never experience in our own actual lives. They're deeply moving and affecting, and sometimes they're so good that we create a bunch of external information about the stories we love, and this is usually called lore. There's a lot of stories out there with some really in-depth lore. Star Wars is definitely one of the big ones. Like, if you've ever noticed that Boba Fett has a dent in his helmet, there's an entire comic about how he got that. Like, that's lore. Now, why do people like lore? I think it makes a lot of sense why people enjoy discussing so much of the lore in the Dragon Prince. I mean, after all, we've all seen the show, and we've all talked about our favorite moments and shared our favorite memes. So what else is there really to talk about other than these little tidbits of information and what people who work on the show say on Twitter? So I guess I can understand to an extent why there's so much discourse about the lore. And there's a lot to like about lore. When a story has deep lore and background information, it can really help pull you into it. You can feel like you're actually part of an amazing universe. It helps with immersion, basically. Digging into the lore and uncovering the secrets can also be super fun. Knowing the history and lore helps you understand why things are happening the way they are in the story. It makes the choices and challenges more meaningful and enhances the overall experience. But my question is with the show still being ongoing, Why such a turn? Why has the fandom seemingly shifted, again, seemingly, this is my personal experience, towards mostly just discussing lore? I mean, after all, the show is still ongoing. There's still much to talk about in the story. I think that the big part of the issue is that a lot of people didn't really like what happened to the story of the Dragon Prince after Season 3. Now, this is just my kind of speculation, okay? I'll admit that. I don't have, like, concrete evidence, just incidental encounters and posts that I've read that seem to indicate that a lot of people don't like what's going on with the show. Now, I certainly have my own complaints about the direction the show has gone, but I think what has happened is that because of that, most people have kind of moved away from talking about the story and instead are talking about the lore. And sadly, this just isn't very interesting to me most of the time. And like I said before, and I really want to make this part clear, I'm not criticizing people for talking about the lore. And I'm not saying that people who enjoy the lore are wrong for enjoying it or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that the story is necessarily more important than the lore. All I'm saying is that lately, I've been feeling a real disconnect from a lot of the community, and I believe that the source of this issue is that most people talking about the Dragon Prince seem to be talking about the lore, or events that are not in the show and will likely never show up in the show. But I just want to talk about the show and, like, how I love the characters and their journeys and what could happen to those characters. That's what I like talking about. I think it might be helpful for us to remember that this is not the Dragon Prince. This is the Dragon Prince.
Callum! But how did you...
I love you, Rayla. I really do.
I love you too, Callum.
I just want to encourage you all to remember why you fell in love with the show in the first place. To remember how the Dragon Prince made you feel, how these moments made you feel. I just want you to remember to value the story and the lore, to value the journey, not the map. Thanks for watching.